So I'm just going, like, Moses asked, some of you guys are interested in investment banking consulting. I want to abstract it a little bit. Like, what are the features of the first job you want out of college? And let me just grab someone who's a senior. You had your hand up before. Senior, sorry? Yes. So you'd like to get better at something, gain skills, become good at, at whatever it is that they need you to do. So develop skills and training. I bet a lot of you guys agree with that. What's your name? Evan. So Evan says develop skills. You guys agree with that? What else on the list? Yeah. Real/meaningful work. Yeah, I bet a lot of you guys agree with that too. What else? You had a thought? Yeah, meaningful work. Yeah, no, it's true. There are a lot of entry-level positions where you're doing something that is sort of like part of a process, and you don't really feel like you're driving something forward. Totally, yeah. I think that's something a lot of you share. What else is on this list? Oh, I have my clicker. All right, so what do you guys want in a first job? So we had develop skills from Evan. What else is on this list? Anyone want to shout something out? Yeah. Yeah, so training program, development program. There was a thought. Money. Money's definitely on the list. You said what everyone was thinking. That's good. Not everyone. All right. So here's a partial list. Looks good on your resume. How many of you guys thinking that? Because you don't know if you're going to do it forever. You want to be able to parlay it into something else, maybe. Work with other smart people. Ideally, some real responsibility. Money, maybe even upside of some kind. And then this last thing, something good. Maybe you're going to save it for later after you're a baller. This is the post-baller ambition, that you will go back among the people and do good. So how's this for a list? Is this reasonable? Yeah, this is pretty good, right? All right, so this is Venture for America, and we believe that there has been a hyper-allocation of intellectual talent to financial services, finance consulting, and law, and not enough is going to job-creating businesses in our communities. The country used to be outstanding at finding smart people like all of you and training them for positions of substance, but now position of substance has been translated into one of really three things in professional services. What do you guys think of this slide? Some people, this is the first time you ever thought of it. Some people are giving me a thumbs up. Other people are like, eh. All right. So we're going to take a look at the data for Harvard's class of 2011. So what do you guys think the most popular things to do were out of Harvard this past May? Law school's on there. What else? Med school's number 4. Investment banking is number 1. Management consulting is number 3. Law's 2. So among these 4, you have 2/3 of the class. You have finance, law, consulting, and med school. That's 65%. Then this next category is the potpourri. This is everything. So this is grad school, nonprofits, industry. That's every company, big or small. So that's Procter & Gamble down to the scrappiest startup. Government, IT, military. Then you have Teach for America, which had 18% of Harvard seniors apply and 4% actually become core members. I don't know if that statistic is surprising to you guys. And then 10% were undecided. So here, that's the breakdown of Harvard's graduating class this past year. Is this surprising, unsurprising? Do you have strong feelings one way or another about this? Not surprising. Alex says, yeah, this is about what I'd think. How does this relate to your experience at University of Michigan? How's it different? That's great. So he thinks that it's a higher concentration of industry here, essentially, because you'd have manufacturing companies that want to hire you guys, which would totally make sense. They would want to hire you guys. So this is the situation at Harvard. What we did is we just said, look, it's not just Harvard. It's most of the other national universities, including to some extent University of Michigan as well, where you can see at all of these schools, the top recruiters are consistently investment banks, consulting firms. Teach for America is in there. But those are the trends throughout. And you guys have friends at other schools, and you kind of know that this is the picture. So this is the current picture statistically. Now, why is it that this is what people from national universities are doing? Why is it that everyone's becoming a banker, consultant, lawyer, doctor, et cetera? And this mirrors the first slide. This mirrors why it is people want the first job. So you guys are in Michigan. Now, if you have a bunch of people becoming professional service providers, what cities are they going to live in? New York's one. Yep. Boston, San Francisco, DC. It's not really LA. LA actually doesn't have that much in the way of professional services, believe it or not. Yeah. Yeah. They're only like a few places you can work there in finance where people consider you still legit. If you guys have friends in finance in LA, you can tell them I said that. All right. So, all right. So these are the cities. Chicago's number 5, actually. It's not listed here. Now, what we did is we took a look at the job generation in the country, the lack thereof, and just looked at what regions, what states are having trouble with their unemployment rates of 10% or higher. And it's the majority of the country, including Michigan. What's happening is that the national university system has become a de facto talent drain on 80% of the country, where if you're a smart person who grows up in Michigan and you go to Duke, you're probably going to become a banker, consultant, lawyer, live in New York, San Francisco, DC, maybe Chicago. You're not going to come back to Michigan. You're not going to start a company. You're not going to create any jobs. You do this repeatedly over a multi-decade period, and this is where you are. What do you guys think? Or is this true? Is this accurate? Yeah, this is pretty. This is, you know, no one actually has probably sat down and made a map, but you guys are all experiencing this in various ways. I mean, I obviously sat down and made a map. That's what I do in my spare time. All right, so the reasons why people are becoming professional service providers are very much like that first slide. It's like, what are the reasons why many of you are going to consider investment banking consulting? Well, money's on the list again. So it's. How about prestige? Looks good. Clearly marked path, easy to find or apply to. I bet a lot of you had no idea what management consulting was when you showed up here as freshmen. For those of you who are freshmen, maybe you're still like, I don't know what management consulting is. But by the time you're a junior or senior, I can guarantee you'll know what it is. And it's because that they do a very good job investing resources to make sure that it's clearly marked and you can find it. You're seeking the next level. You want to keep your options open. You're considering paying off some school loans. You want to gain skills and train for the next thing. You want to make sure you work with other smart people, and then there's also this something good potentially. So what do you guys think of this as the list as to why investment banking consulting are appealing options? Right? So these are the decision rules that all of us are using, and so they know, hey, as long as we lay out the red carpet and make it easy to find, and say we'll have a development program for you, you do 2 years of this, et cetera, then you'll end up, you know, coming to work for them. So how many of you guys are considering working for a startup at some point in your career, just at any point? Probably a lot of you, considering you know, we are where we are. So why are you not going to work for a startup potentially first thing out of school? Sorry? Risk, money, what else? Yeah, exit opportunities. You don't know if it's going to go anywhere. So in some ways, this is like the inverse of the last slide, where you're not recruited because startups are not going to come knocking on your door. They don't have the resources or the bandwidth to come try and find you. If you wanted to find a startup, you'd probably struggle to find it because there are like 5 people working in a, you know, garage or office somewhere, and so they're hard to track down. Even if you found them, you would have no idea whether the company is going to succeed. You're not sure if they're going to train you. You're not sure if the company's going to lead you to where you want to go. If you do this, you'll be doing it on your own, whereas if you go to one of these big firms, you might have some friends who do it, you'll know some people. And at this point, you think you bring nothing to the table. You think, I don't have a network or an idea or money or tech proficiency. Actually, some of you guys are probably techies. How many of you guys are techies? A lot of you. That's great. All right, so maybe the tech proficiency thing's not there. So this is the list of reasons why you might not work for a startup. What do you guys think? Also reasonably accurate. However, a lot of you want to work for a startup, and a lot of you are thinking, you know, I'm going to go into banking or consulting to quote unquote learn about business so then I can then return and do a startup. How many of you guys are thinking that? A lot of you, right? All right, so I'm from the future. You can tell because I'm wearing a suit. And I can tell you that banking and consulting are imperfect training grounds for learning how to start and run and operate a business. It's the equivalent of trying to learn how to become a chef by working at a company that sells things to restaurants. You're going to get very good at high-level Excel valuation in banking and PowerPoint and presentation making in consulting, but those skills are relatively marginal in the context of starting and running most companies. You know, it's like, and if you needed someone who was very good at Excel, you know, there are ways to have that skill set available to you without necessarily, you know, like having that be your core competency. So for those of you who are thinking about that, you know, it works out for many people. It doesn't work out for everyone. Like for every former management consultant or investment banker that becomes a successful entrepreneur, there are probably several that never actually fulfill their original aspirations. And you know, I'm from the future, so you know I speaketh the truth. Or if you want, you can talk to your older siblings who are in these environments and get their experience as well. So for those of you who are thinking about working for a startup, I'm here to let you know that there is a new pathway in. It's called Venture for America. We're going to identify 50 to 60 of the top college graduates in the country. We're going to bring you to Brown University, my alma mater, for 5 weeks of training next summer. After the training, we're going to send you to work at a startup in Detroit, New Orleans, Providence, or another low-cost city in groups of 12 to 15, where you'll then work alongside a current entrepreneur to help grow their business. You'll be getting paid around $34,000, $35K a year for those 2 years. You'll have programming throughout the 2 years where you'll meet with other entrepreneurs in the area. You'll be living with people from the program. And at the end of the program, we're going to give one of you $100,000 to start your own business. That if you don't start it immediately, you can just keep the seed investment in your back pocket for later. So this is Teach for America for startups. We're trying to address all of the structural issues that make it difficult to work at startups. We're going to make it easy to apply to, and we're going to make it incredibly compelling for your parents, where you can say to them, I'm a Venture for America fellow, the acceptance rate is 2%, I'm one of the 50 top kids in the country, and I'm going to join the other 49 in June. Aren't you proud, Mom and Dad? And then they will say, yes, you know, I knew you were up to great things. So this is, as Moses aptly described it, Teach for America for Startups, and it's open right now. So if you go to ventureforamerica.org/apply, there's an application, you can fill it out. It's stuff that you already have well in hand if you've been applying for jobs. It's just your resume, transcript, recommendations. Well, recommendations are more for grad school, but recommendations, one of them is a peer recommendation, so it's not so bad, and also some brief essays. So the application's open. We're going to take some people from University of Michigan, almost guaranteed. All right, so there are many very accomplished people that are associated with Venture for America. We have various venture capitalists and senior executives who are on board. IAC is the company that owns Match.com and CitySearch. Our investor board includes David Lee, who's Ron Conway's right-hand man in Silicon Valley, Josh Linkner, who's probably the preeminent VC here in Detroit, Chip Hazard, who's at Flybridge Capital in Boston, David Tisch is the managing director at Techstars, and a bunch of experienced entrepreneurs that if you make it into this program, you will meet everyone on this list. You will end up becoming part of a small select cohort that we're hoping will go on to build businesses and create jobs and help get the country moving again economically. So, you know, it's a great combination of hopefully all the things that you guys are looking for. Our goals as an organization, our goal is to create 100,000 US jobs by 2025. That means we have about 14 years to do it. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to take credit for everything you do for the rest of your career if you're in this program. The secondary metric is that we're going to try and see how many fellows remain engaged in startups and startup enterprise. We know it's going to be a very high proportion because this stuff is very addictive. You know, once you get bitten by the bug, it's hard to go back. At least it has been in my experience. Oh, interesting. Oh, so for those of you who are thinking, hey, 50, that's not a very large number, maybe I won't get this because there are hundreds, maybe thousands of applicants. If you're in the top 20% or so of applicants that make it to the final round, we will make your information, if you want, available to startups all over the country. So you might end up with interesting opportunities just by applying, even if you don't get the fellowship. So there's really no downside to applying, only upside. It might help get you on the radar and enable you to potentially connect to companies that you'd have an interest in working with. So I want to end this presentation on the note that there are a lot of things about startup life that are a great fit professionally. You get to have the job change, get real responsibilities. I think one person described it. You get rewarded for success. There's high engagement and ownership. You have peaks and valleys. It's team-oriented, and you can believe in what you're doing. So this is Venture for America. Again, applications are now open. Please do apply if you're a senior. If you're not a senior, you can apply down the road. Or you can let your friends know who are seniors and have them apply. And if you're applying, maybe you'll end up with friends of yours in the program if you let them know. And then you all end up being selected. So this was my chance to get out info about Venture for America. Thanks, Moses, for the opportunity.